Hey guys, today I decided I wanted to do a voiceover instead of adding music for this video because I thought it would be really nice to share my process for this because there were a lot of times when I was struggling and I thought it would be nice to share my progress and the new techniques that I learned. And sometimes it's kind of nice to do a voiceover instead of music just so you can get to know the artist a bit better. So this is a painting of a jackalope. For those who don't know, a jackalope is a mythical creature that is a jackrabbit with antlers, antelope antlers to be exact, but since it's a mythological creature, you can do whatever you want with the design, and I decided to go with deer antlers. Well, kind of deer antlers. I kind of made it my own design, but they were based off of deer antlers, and because I just really like deer. And I had a lot of practice drawing roses over the summer. I had a lot of projects. I was working on a contest entry for a rose princess concept. I didn't win the contest, unfortunately, but I had a lot of fun with the design. And she was a princess with a rose on top of her head. And she had a rose dress too, which was really cool and fun to work on. I also worked on a poem for my aunt over the summer, and it was about a rose blooming. And I had to draw a pretty garden and rosebud and a full-grown rose, and so I had a lot of experience drawing roses over the summer. So because I like roses too, I decided to incorporate it with this design. It was just something that kind of popped in my head. The roses don't really have a particular meaning with the jackalope. It was just some fun designy thing that I added. So roses are very tricky to draw because they're so swirly and they've got a lot of like the petals kind of overlap each other, and they're in different shapes and they kind of swirl around the center, and it was just very tricky. So I had a bunch of references. It's always good to have references. Even though I've drawn roses a few times over the summer, I'm still not a professional at drawing roses, so it's still good to have reference. No matter what, no matter if you think you know how to draw something, always use reference. So on my iPad I had pictures of roses, antlers, rabbits, and I had it sitting beside me as I worked. And so two tricky things with this painting that I had problems with is painting fur and the roses. Well, with the fur, I don't have much experience drawing fur. So as you can see, I was restarting the fur process over and over again, and then I had to just stop recording and look up tutorials. And there was one particular tutorial that I found super helpful. It was by a Disney artist named Aaron Blaise, and he worked on several Disney films, and I think he was the director of Brother Bear. And so he had a really fun technique of doing fur. So what he did was he made his own brush, and so I pretty much did the same technique. So I pretty much just copied what he did. He basically what he did was he made his own brush, and it was a speckly brush, so it was just a bunch of dots, and they didn't have to be in a particular place, they didn't have to be in a particular pattern or anything. It was just random little speckled dots everywhere in different sizes, and he saved that brush, and what he did was he used the smudge tool and he picked that speckled brush out, and he painted over, like let's say he had, basically what I'm doing now is, when I was working on the fur, is I would brush out the edges. So I would use a smudge tool to smudge the my paint out to make it look kind of hairy and furry and have that, it has that feathered look. Because what I like about the smudge tool, it has a very feathery look to it. So when I was painting the rabbit, when you look at the edges, it just has like a blurry feathery look, and it just gives that look of fur. And so normally I hate using the smudge tool, but this was a very clever way of doing it. It was just, I would draw out the fur lines, and then I would use the smudge tool right over it with that speckled brush, and it would give it that feathery texture within the rabbit and on the edges of the jackalope, not the rabbit. But the jackalope would have that feathery look around the edges of its body because of the smudge tool. Another trick with fur that I noticed is you want to have like different colors of fur. You want to have different fur colors, because if you use just one color, it's just gonna look like the same. It's gonna look the same throughout the whole drawing. So you want different shades. So I was using different shades of brown, like dark brown and light brown. When I was looking at references of a jackrabbit, it had a bunch of different colors. It had like browns, whites, grays, and it had a bunch of different colors to it. And so that's another trick, because you don't want the same similar colors. You want to give it a variation to make it look like actual fur. One tricky thing is trying to incorporate lighting into fur, which I struggled with. So towards the end of the video, you'll see me using a brush preset. I used a soft light. I either used overlay or soft light. I think it was soft light. I didn't, because you can change the preset. You can change the layer preset, or you can change the brush preset. I changed the brush preset because I wasn't doing it on a whole new layer. I duplicated the jackalope layer just in case I messed up or anything. I like having duplicates, because if you mess up on something, don't sweat it. You can just delete that layer and recopy the original one. And so you have the original one saved, so if you make any mistakes, you can just delete the new layer you made and start over without damaging the original painting. So I duplicated the jackalope layer, and I used the soft light to shade the rabbit. So I shaded his face and the bottom of his belly and his leg and stuff, just because I'm not used to incorporate lighting with the fur. It was just very tricky. So I thought it would be easier right now to just use brush presets instead. The roses took forever. I thought I would never get done with it. It was just so tiring after a while, because it was the same thing all the time. Different rows, but pretty much the same process. And it was fun, but at the same time very tedious after a while. The whole painting took about 13 hours, and I'm really happy about the way it turned out. It was fun. I just love the design and the colors. I love the pastel roses. In the beginning, when I'm coloring, the roses are kind of dark, but at the end I lighten it up a bit, just to make it more of a pastel. In the beginning, they were kind of a salmon color, and I felt like they were just too dark, and I felt like it was taking away from the jackalope. So I lightened them towards the end, so it'll have a nice balance. I also had a difficult time with the antlers, just because I wanted to make sure they were placed in the right place. I didn't want any tangents. Like, I didn't want the antlers to be awkward in an awkward position where the overlapping just looked weird, like the antlers were connecting or anything. I wanted it to be clear that the antlers were separated, and just doing that was just kind of more frustrating than I thought it was going to be. But I am happy with the way the antlers came out. It added a nice balance to the composition, so it wasn't just a rabbit and roses. It kind of added a fun mythological feel to it, and gave the illustration a better balance. The leaves were nice. I love the color of pink roses with the green leaves. You'll see me painting the leaves later, but it was really fun. Red and green are complementary colors, so pink is a lighter version of red, so obviously. So it was just nice to have that those pastel colors and that complementary color. It worked well, and browns and pinks and greens look great together. So yeah, it was just a very fun piece to work on. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to say next. That's the trouble with voiceovers. It's like I'm always afraid I'm going to run out of things to talk about. Let's see. Right now I'm just painting the roses. And it was kind of tricky shading. I was considering repainting the line art, but I decided to keep it brown in the end. Let's see, what else can I talk about? I love listening to music while I work. I usually have kind of like a set soundtrack. Like, I think I like having music that kind of fits what I'm working. And so I was just listening to soundtracks. Like, I was listening to Thomas Newman. He's a great composer. He's one of my favorites. And I was listening to Imogen Heap, one of my other favorite singers. I also listened to Owl City, too. Owl City is my favorite singer of all time. And so, of course, I had to listen to him while I work. I'm also using Photoshop CS5. And the brush I'm using is the round default brush. And I also changed the colors just a bit. I like making sure everything harmonizes in my painting, so sometimes I'll paint it a certain color, but I'll play around with the saturation and the levels later to make everything harmonize. And that's pretty much it. The leaves are fun. I like painting leaves. They're just really, really pretty. And I like how the roses turned out, even though they were kind of frustrating at times. Everything was worth it. I'm happy about the way it turned out. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I had a lot of fun. And, now I'm working on antlers now. The antlers, I don't know if I'm satisfied with the shading. I might go back and change it eventually. But for now, I am pretty satisfied with it, so I think I'll leave it alone. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to give it a like if you liked it, share if you want, and if you have any thoughts or anything, leave them in the comments down below. Alright guys, see you later. Bye!